Hello and welcome to Star Trek Wars. Today we'll be discussing Picard Season 3, Episode 2. I'm your co-host Jordan, and joining me today it's Joselyn. Joselyn, what are some of your aliases you use while traveling? Or being a con man?
I'm supposed to use an alias when I'm doing crime? Oh, man.
Yeah, probably when you podcast, too.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, this explains a lot. Wow, okay. Yeah, I can see how that would make me harder to find.
I've got one.
Okay.
How about Jose Lynn?
Insensitive.
Sorry.
I can't believe you'd say that. Jordan, on a serious note, I've been meaning to talk to you about something that I've noticed. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but do you feel like there's kind of like a resemblance between us?
Between you and I?
Yeah, no, I mean,
absolutely not.
I guess
I
what
don't
I'm
wear glasses.
Look, tell me you're seeing what I'm seeing. Are you not seeing what I'm seeing? Do the math, Jordan. We grew up in the same home. We have the same father. We have the same mother.
Getting stronger case
I mean,
here, yeah.
What do you think all that means?
What are you trying to say?
I think we might have been adopted into the same family.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, somehow. I don't know how it happened. It's really wild. Anyway, we should do the show now.
I probably shouldn't say my aliases, but I will anyways.
Oh, please do.
One is Charles Carmichael.
Okay.
Because that's Chuck's alias in the TV show Chuck, starring Zachary Levi, and it's amazing.
Who's basically you. Clever.
Yeah. Something like that. And the other one was, so I wrote sorry, this is...
Well, this one's going to be good. I can tell already.
Not really. It's just, I wrote a Star Trek book when I was much younger. It's on a floppy disk somewhere.
You did. Okay.
Not even a floppy disk, like a 3.5 inch, or a 2, what were they, 2.5 inch?
The hard disk, whatever,
the hard disk.
Yeah.
And I also had for some reason, I put a sticker of a Thanksgiving turkey on it. Anyway,
got to throw them off.
I wrote the Star Trek book, and instead of calling myself by my name, that would be, I call myself, I think, Elliot Jordan, which Elliot's my middle name, Jordan's my first name. So instead of Jordan, Elliot, it was Elliot Jordan.
Yeah.
They would never figure it out.
They would never figure that one out. You are
anyways,
genius.
Jocelyn, this week, thank you. We'll be reviewing Picard Season 3, Episode 2, Disengage. It's written by Christopher Monfay and Sean Tretta, directed by Douglas Aronofsky. Aided by Seven of Nine and the crew of the USS Titan, Picard makes a shocking discovery that will alter his life forever and puts him on a collision course with the most cunning enemy he's ever encountered. Meanwhile, Rafi races to track a catastrophic weapon and collides with a familiar ally. Alternate summary for this episode is Picard finds out he is the father.
Yes.
So, Jocelyn, shall we talk first impressions for this week's episode?
We shall. My first impression is, yes, just arms up in the air. This gesture right here. Because they did it.
I like the Will Ferrell one where he alternates arms.
Oh, I like that one too. Yeah,
that's good.
Very
that's
enthusiastically punching the sky, not in anger, in joy.
Enjoy.
I mean, they're pulling it off. You know what I mean? They are doing it. This episode was great. And I know I sound surprised, but I don't know. I just feel like they're doing it. And I'm kind of like, oh my God, is this going to continue? Like, it was good. Like, I laughed, I cried. Friends became enemies. Enemies became friends. Other friends got unfrozen. Men became fathers.
Unfriends got beheaded.
Unfriends got beheaded. People with heads got unheaded. Hot guys who didn't have fathers suddenly get fathered. It's like, wow, it's just a lot going on in this episode, and I like it. I pretty much like it all. Yeah.
I'd say like the first 2 seasons of Picard can be summed up as a child riding a bike for the first time, and you're like, oh my goodness, oh, this is good, oh, this is so good. And then like you see the tires starting to shake, like, oh, come on. And then they crash. Like that's the first 2 seasons of Picard.
Yeah.
But this season so far, staying on course. It's, 2 episodes in. I think you kind of have to get to episode like 4 and still have it be held together before I get, too over optimistic.
Yeah.
But I've been pretty optimistic about this season, and I think this episode's a slight step back for me from episode 1, just as far as how much I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it, but I preferred the first, episode to this. I think there's just a bridge to the next episode. Because the big reveal was something we already knew. I think both the reveals were something I kind of already knew.
Both of them.
It just wasn't as well, like Rafi's handler showing up.
Okay.
Which we already kind of knew it was Worf just because of the text messages he was sending and calling her a warrior for no apparent reason.
Those classic Worf text messages we all are very familiar with by now.
And then Picard's son being Picard's son.
Right.
Worst kept secret. Even Riker's like, come on, John.
I mean, hello.
Do the math.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know that they can flash back to 20 years ago, but I'm wondering what went down and how Bev just completely ghosted him for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
What was the conversation like? I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, clearly she had something to hide. It kind of answers that question a bit.
Yeah. And honestly, she hasn't confirmed it yet. She didn't say a word this episode.
But she did.
With her
She
eyes.
said so many words. They had an entire... Anyway, we're getting into my pros.
They had an entire conversation via blinking.
Yes, they did.
So, pros, Jocelyn. Go ahead and kick it off with your pros.
Okay. First, we're going to start where every pros starts, and that is with the fashion.
Was that French for fashion?
Yeah, the French word for fashion is fashion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm learning so much.
That's true. Don't look it up. Number 1, Raffi. And I missed this last week because she had the same outfit on, and I missed it, but her top, that knit thing with the peekaboo shoulder moment, is the ribbing and the color. It's not black. It's actually like this very scarlet red. Perfect. It looks great on her. I want it. Where can I get it? Number 2.
You can get it in districts, is it 6 or 7, on Peekaboo Street.
Surely she doesn't do her shopping there.
I don't know.
I would not want to do my shopping there.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I don't know about that. You might find things in the pockets of those jeans you don't want to find. Number 2, Vatic. You said the 2 big reveals for this episode were like things you already knew about, but I posit that the 3rd huge reveal is Vatic. I watched the trailer. Well, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have done it. I didn't. I had no idea what was coming. I didn't know she'd be wearing like this, I don't know, pleather moment thing. And with the like long cigar, the hair just being wrong, but also very right. The subtle like scarring to her face. I'll get into her as a character later, but just the look is right. The look is perfect. It says, It told me a lot about this villain before she even opened her mouth. Number 3.
She's trying to change her look.
Is she trying to change her look?
Yeah, she's trying to get those 101 Dalmatians to make a coat for herself.
There is some of that energy, and I love it.
For sure. Yeah.
Worf. I know we only saw him kind of in a blur for a second, and I thought I would be mad that he has gray hair. But that hair, I'm sold. It works. That alone gets him on the top fashion list for this week. However, the toppest, most tippity top of fashion, without a doubt, was Sneed, who I argue is the 4th big reveal for this episode.
Okay.
I did not know I was getting a Ferengi. I did not know that Ferengi would be wearing a fur coat. And I did not know he would have tattoos on his head. The prison tats, but then he's got this elaborate coat, all the rings. I mean, I'm really sad to see him go. I connected with Sneed in those first few moments. I felt like I was Sneed in that fur coat. On
Sneed
that.
and tweed.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Hey, what else do you need? Oh, a song for Sneed. Yeah, I love Sneed. Sneed was, I love the investment that they put in this character that we only had for a number of minutes, and yet I will remember Sneed.
The need.
I have a need for Sneed.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
Show me the gold pressed latinum. Okay. Moving on from fashion, because I can't stay there forever. I just want to drive home the fact. I know I've already talked about this, but we got 2 fun villains this week. We got the Sneed and we got Vatic. And the look of them was so good. They made Sneed look ridiculous, fashionable, and dangerous all at the same time. He was kind of ominous, but you also knew this guy's going to get himself killed. Vatic, I am over the moon about this villain. This is the thing a villain should be in their off time is a Broadway actor. I'm going to say it. They should be either a Shakespearean trained actor like I can't remember Picard's actual name right now.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Wow. Oof. Or they should be like Amanda Plummer, which is, she has a Tony Award. She's been nominated for others. She's on Broadway. She does these crazy bit parts. I didn't know that was her in Pulp Fiction because it's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but it definitely was. And like that character was on screen for like, again, a matter of minutes, and yet you remember her. And that's what makes a good villain and someone who's complex. The way that she just delights in her villainy and laughs, but isn't goofy. And you take her seriously. I don't find her to be goofy. I will fight someone over this. She's not. It's the unhinged kind of, and the way that she's almost like patronizing in the way.
Careful challenging people to fight, because I'm sure Logan Paul's going to hear this. he's going to at you on Twitter, Jocelyn.
I don't have any energy reserved for Logan Paul, so.
Well,
fact, I don't even.
If you don't
know
have energy, then you should try his new energy drink, Prime. I think that's what it's called. Sorry.
Gross. I already know it's gross, and I've never even heard of it. I like how patronizing she is to them. She has almost this like mothering voice, but in the kind of way that it's like a mother dearest kind of thing.
Mommy dear.
She's very like Joan Crawford, almost a little bit of Khan, and then you've got like a definite like seasoned with Christopher Plummer, you know, in Star Trek VI. It's just, it's so good, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this villain, and frankly, this villain is very excited for herself, and I applaud that. You know, I love a girl boss. We love a woman in charge, and yeah. So I don't know who I'm rooting for at this point.
Maybe Chang had a daughter with Dr. Crusher that she doesn't know about. It's like Chang's half
the
crazy human daughter
betrayal.
that just grew up watching Shakespeare in the original Klingon.
What's the timeline on this? Like, is that even possible?
Nah, it's not even possible.
What if she was frozen
Chang was
in
dead?
carbonate?
Well, I mean, it's always possible. And
There's
okay,
gotta
now
be
you're
a
crossing
way.
the streams.
We got to look forward to season 4, Jordan. We can't stop here.
That's
right. Speaking of villains, I have completely changed my mind on Captain Shaw.
From where did you stand last week on Captain
He
Shaw?
annoyed me greatly.
Okay.
I like him now.
Okay.
He makes total sense now. Like, actually, he's very reasonable. He's like, you cannot steal my ship and still work for me. So go to your room, you child.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, like, he's one of those characters who's making sense, but he's not doing what we want him. He's not allowing our characters to do what we want them to do. But I agree with that, especially more this week, but not the way he went about things last week.
No, he was very rude. But I think what he was doing...
He's more than rude.
Obviously, he was asserting his dominance in the presence of two, as Seven puts it, legends. And...
Sure.
Seven being like, do you really want to leave, like, the poster child and his, number one to die? Do you think Starfleet's going to, like, promote you after that? That was brilliant. And he thought it over and he was like, yeah, she's got a point. That was good. Like, he's savvy in a way. He's just, I think
he can be reasoned
maybe
with.
he has some social anxieties or maybe he's on the spectrum. It's hard to say at this point. Anyway, I'm coming around on him.
I think there's other things going on, and I have a theory.
You have a theory?
I have a theory, yes.
You're going to keep that to yourself, are you? Or
I am, until later.
Wow. But we will hear this theory later.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, good. Thank God. All right. Yeah. Captain Shaw, I did a complete 180 on him. I'm coming around on him. Similarly to how that ship came around and just careened right into that other big starship. I was like, what is she going to do? Just blow up that ship that's like a safe distance away from the other? Oh, no. She's going to throw it at him. So
yeah.
I'm good with it. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
Not to that extent in Star Trek, for sure, and at least not that I can remember. Not from a tractor beam.
Right, not from a tractor beam.
We've seen a Greek god from a planet have his hand wrapped around the Enterprise. And,
we'd like to forget that one, though.
Yeah, we've seen the Enterprise roasted over a candle by a miniature Enterprise by
classic
and cat's paw. But
classic.
We've seen a lot of things, Joselyn. But I will say it was cool. But I did not like the CGI of that tractor beam, the way it looks, and that is another tease for something I'm going to get into later as well.
Okay.
So I have a theory on that tractor beam as well.
Wow, you got a lot of theories there.
One of them
buddy.
is serious. One is not. I'll let you decide which is which.
Okay. Well, no longer theoretical is the sperm donor for Jack Crusher.
That's what you want to call it.
Well, you do know where babies come from, right, Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to explain this to you, right?
Yeah.
Because if we were adopted into the same household, it'd be kind of awkward for me to have this conversation with you. It's the only thing. So, anyway, I know Beverly Crusher didn't get to say one single word this entire episode. However, the scene where Riker brings her up onto the bridge and she and Picard just kind of look at each other. Because we know they're going to have this moment, right? We've known since before the season began.
Yeah.
That moment for me was perfect. Where they just looked at each other and, like, with their eyes, she was like, dude. And he was like, nah. And she was like, dude. And he was like, dude. And they just figured, like...
Where's my car?
Exactly. Where's my offspring? Yes. I just thought it was great. I thought the moment was great. And I'm so glad. I am so glad we didn't have to have a scene where she's like, he's your son. And he's like, he's my son. Give me back my son. I just didn't want any of that.
Give me back my son.
Yeah. I'm not leaving here without my boy.
So shot.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite quotes ever.
Definitely.
I don't know why, but just Mel Gibson just, give me back my son. Like, oh,
yeah.
Man.
It's a good moment. It's great, and I really, really liked it. Ending on that for my pros, because I could go on and on. I really did like this episode. Nutrizone-wise, how much did that Toluco head, that Sneed pulled out from behind his couch for some reason. How much did that head look like John Travolta? Did you notice that?
I was petrified. I had multiple chills.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then more.
And then more chills?
Yeah.
Would you say that potentially you may have come close?
There was multiplication involved.
Okay. Okay, got it. Well, before we lose control, why don't you tell me about your pros?
I shall. And I think Toluca's head was in the beverage center he has behind his couch.
Oh.
You got to keep that thing
You got to
refrigerated.
keep that thing refrigerated.
I don't know that I would store it next to the Sluggo Cola, but...
Yeah. That's nice.
The Titan flying in and breaking up the tractor beam I thought was really cool. I liked that actually more. Like it warps in and just cuts off the tractor beam. I thought that was even cooler than the reverse tractor beam throwing the ship. I did like a couple quotes from Captain Shaw where it's like, there's 4 of them. Like, just beam them all aboard. We're pretty much a hotel now.
Yeah, see? He's becoming a guy you like.
We'll see about that. And then we're cornered in space, and space has no corners. And he's just like amusing himself with his lines, and that was pretty funny. I think Riker is like just phenomenal. I'm so glad that Jonathan Frakes is able to come back and play kind of this aged up Riker where he's been a captain for a long time and then kind of retired, but obviously still loves it. And like, those characters in Star Trek like Kirk and Picard and Riker, those icons, just like they are never going to not be the people we remember from when they're on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Like, they always have that in them. And it's just cool to see that playing out the season and getting to see them do what they want, what they've been like almost created to do, like to serve in Starfleet and to do the right thing. And the last couple seasons, we just haven't been able to see the same Picard. And this Picard feels so much more like a continuation of that character. So I like the joke that Jack Crusher kind of tells him he's being interrogated by Picard. He says, "You're wanted for murder." He's like, "Well, he's a falsetti. They have a 7-year hibernation cycle. Who's to say if he's dead?" And then Picard, like I mentioned, he's kind of like the Picard from the previous Picard that we've seen, a little more Picard than the last 2 seasons, but a slightly dulled version of the Picard we're used to, because he puts up transport inhibitors and then they can't be transported out because he forgets he put up transport inhibitors.
Yes.
The other characters did too, but like you could see he's not quite as sharp as he once was, but he's as sharp once as he ever was. Because he shoots all 3 of those inhibitors. So he's still got it with his shot. And I mentioned last week I had some issues with the scales of the ship scale and how some of the ships looked too big or too small.
Yeah.
And how that shuttle was so big, Jocelyn. It was like as big as the bridge of the Helios.
It was too big.
That entire starship. Yes. But I don't know if you knew this, but we got some answers this week.
Oh.
Did you happen to catch the name of the humongous shuttle that was destroyed?
No. What was it?
Okay, so as it was destroyed, like the hood of the starship comes flying towards the screen. So if you pause it, you can read what it says.
Oh.
And it's the USS Savick. So they were just paying homage to Kirstie Alley.
Wow.
Picard getting called out.
Too soon.
That's a true story, by the way.
Hashtag too soon.
It says the Savick. Go back and pause it. I 100%
promise you. Oh, no, that's not the part I have
says.
a problem with.
Picard getting called out for hiding out at his vineyard and putting down roots for the past 20 years. Because he's given Jack Crusher, his son, who he didn't know about, so you can't really, grill him too much. He's given him the 3rd degree, and he's like, how much do you know, Beverly? How much do you know any of your people you haven't talked to in the last 20 years? Aside from Riker and Troy and maybe Geordi, it doesn't sound like he's hardly even talked to any of his crew in the last 2 decades, which I got my own issues with that, but it is what it is
Yeah.
at this point, and there's not much I can. It's not much they can do. They can't backtrack a ton and retcon this, so we're just stuck with what they're giving us. And so far, it's the best version of kind of what we can get at this point, given the first 2 seasons. Worf got a new weapon, and it seems more practical than a Batleth, and definitely a longer reach than a Mek'leth. It's kind of harder to decapitate someone with such a short weapon, so I'm glad he's got something he can really work with. And just the nuances of, seeing Worf with this new weapon, which you maybe not nuanced, but the nuance of the Klingon theme playing in the background was pretty cool.
That was nice, yes.
And it's just cool to see Worf. It's kind of what I expected, but it was still awesome that he was, Rafi's handler, and he comes in. I think pairing Rafi with Worf is a really good thing to do, because so far that's been kind of the part of the episodes that I don't care as much about, because Rafi doesn't have a ton to do, and she's stuck in this weird, district of drug dealers, and I'll talk about her husband a little bit.
Yeah, so will I.
That's most of my pros. I really liked this episode. Like I said, not as much as the first episode, but still really good. Neutral zone wise, I just kind of mentioned it. Rafi's story so far, pretty neutral zone for me, until the moment where, she has some good moments with Sneed, but she's kind of in over her head at this point, and she is acting a little foolishly in some cases, going in there half-cocked and pretending that she works for Toluca when Sneed has Toluca's head in his freezer.
That was good,
So,
I thought.
Good thing Worf was there. Vatic, a very well-informed Southern grandmother with a nasty smoking habit.
Yes!
And a whole lot of weapons.
Is there
So we'll
anything
see where it
scarier?
goes. I can think of a few things, but that is pretty scary.
It's scary.
She's definitely she's scary because, at least so far, we don't know who the heck she is or how she got where she is. But you don't see a villain like her too often that just has a huge starship with a bunch of weapons that isn't part of, some type of government structure like the Romulans or the Klingons or the Dominion or whoever it is. So I don't know what her motivations are. She's obviously well-informed and has a ton of weapons and seems slightly unhinged, but at the same time, somehow very patient. And I think she knows that she is faster and stronger and, better than... I think she's underestimating, her prey essentially at this point. But
which is perfect.
We'll see what happens.
She has the energy of someone who has nothing left to lose without any of the desperation of it.
Yeah, kind of like the Joker from The Dark Knight type of vibe.
A little bit. This is the last thing I'll say about her, but the way she says Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
I love it.
Shaw acquiesces pretty quickly once Picard tells him that he doesn't know Jack is his son. And how dense is the security guy? He watches, the editing could have been a little tighter in this scene.
Yes.
He watches Jack clearly use a device from his wrist for about 10 seconds. Then he watches as the force field lowers. And then he watches as Jack Crusher, half his size.
You can hear it lower.
Yes.
Does he have
Comes at him.
AirPods in? Is he jamming out?
Oh, the noise canceling.
Why
He's
is
also just douchey.
every security guard is an absolute douche. Every security guard is an idiot who doesn't know how to do their job.
Well, they're not there for their intelligence, apparently.
That's what they want you but why?
And neutral zone wise, I know why this was done, and I'll give it a little bit of a pass because they kind of, I guess, had to do it so they could have that scene. But why make Beverly walk to the friggin' bridge? Give her hyperspray and beam her to the bridge, or put her on the comms so she can say what she needs to say. But that didn't even really do anything aside from it did everything because Picard saw her and now he's Picard again. He's taking command.
Exactly.
I'm in charge of the ship now. Lower raise the shields, fire the weapons. I'm taking over. And Shaw's just oh, gosh dang it. So, But, Jocelyn, we've been talking long enough. We have to get into our cons.
Okay.
And what we didn't like about this episode. But
first,
I'd like to tell you about something.
Oh, I would love to hear it.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously listen to podcasts if you're listening to this. So let me tell you about a podcast called Star Trek Wars Podcast by Star Trek fans for Star Trek fans.
What is that?
And whether you're into the original series, Deep Space Nine, TNG, even Enterprise, New Trek, we've done it all with over 300. We might be close to 400 episodes at this point.
That's amazing.
Almost 9 years we've covered Star Trek. Every episode and movie. That's over, I believe, 875 shows and movies so far.
I didn't even
episodes
know
and movies.
numbers went that high.
And if that's not enough, Jocelyn, we even have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Star Trek Wars, where we discuss bonus Star Trek content and even venture beyond the Trek universe.
Oh my God.
But don't worry, if you're from the future and don't believe in money anymore, we've got you covered because we also have a Facebook group. Or a meta group, I guess we should call it now, which can be found at facebook.com/groups/Star Trek Wars, where you can engage in scintillating conversation, vote for the weekly episode polls, and even have your comments read on air.
Mm-hmm.
And the little birdie just told me we even have a Twitter at the Star Trek Wars. Yeah, a little shriek just told me.
Wow, a shrike flew right in here,
shrike.
pecked your eyeballs out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then whispered it in your ear. We have a Twitter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, those birds are weird.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Now we know why Jordy wears a visor. All right. Or used to. Now it's time to talk about cons, Jocelyn. Maybe what you didn't care so much about in this week's episode.
I am such a fangirl for this episode, but Raffi does drugs. I just saw it coming, like a mile away, and it's like, why? What for why? And if they use that...
It's the only way you can prove you're not in Section 31 is
to do drugs. I mean, everyone knows that undercover narcotics operatives never do the narcotics. They just pretend for years and years. She had to have, she's smarter than that. She had to have known that would be part of it. And it would have been cool to see some kind of contact lens that she had put in to prevent her from absorbing it or something. You know what I mean? She does fly by the seat of her pants. She does let her emotions, fuel her. She's got that righteous anger about her. And that's why she's Raffi. And I like that. I like that she is a woman of action. She's not just going to sit there and be told what to do by Surrey/Worf. But she also has forethought. I don't know. I feel like she's smarter than that. It's just dumb, and I really hope it ends there. I really do not want Raffi struggling with drug addiction to be her character arc for the season. It's so boring. I don't want it, and I just feel like that's the way they're going. And my next con is Raffi's ex-husband. What is that? What was that? Why? What was he even wearing? Okay, first off, did you see his shirt jacket? It was paint splattered. It's okay. Did you buy it that way? Are you some kind of
a painter?
A painter? It's what is your deal, man? Because that's not a look anymore. We left that where it was way back in the early 2000s. I don't want to see that again.
What do you run, a Sherwin-Williams or a bar?
Did you just want to sample every single color in the store to see what goes with the couch? I don't know. Whatever your process is, don't wear it out. And I'm really just attacking his fashion because I don't like him as a person. I don't like him being you can have this one piece of information or your son, and these are the only two options. And also her son is a grown adult with his own child. I don't think you guys need to be bartering over a relationship with a grown adult person at this juncture. So,
well, and not just that, but he is very entitled and feels like he's so much better than Raffi And she's like, how did you do it? How did you put it behind? It's like he runs a bar with backroom dealings and knows like super dangerous criminals.
You're
like,
in Starfleet.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
That didn't make any sense.
Yeah. He's like on the up and up and runs a bar in like the shadiest part of the galaxy.
That's going to be like rated for it's like illegal dealings in the back. Like I really don't get it. And it's all shoehorned in this episode to set up Raffi for this drug struggle. Which, again, I'm not interested in. I'm just not interested in it for her character. Her character has a lot more to offer than that. And I feel like when things feel off about her and about her character, this is why. They're trying to force something that is not true to who her character is. And it bothers me a lot.
It's something we've already seen.
Right. Not just in this show.
Yeah.
But like, it's just weird that they would do so well in every other area and then in this one thing just be like,
we'll see.
We'll see. They could be tricking us, you know what I mean? I was wrong about Shaw. I thought this is a goofy villain character. He's not going to have any dimension to him. I was wrong. He turns out kind of funny. So maybe. Those are my only cons,
see the
really.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh. Wow. I don't even have a comeback for that.
I don't either. I should have waited for him to stab someone before I busted that out because then it would have made sense.
Well,
Shawshank.
And now you spent it. You can't get it back.
I know. I'll have Jeremy delete it.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremy, get on that. Anyway, your cons, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, you stumble upon one for sure. I mean, Raffi also makes my cons because Raffi talking out in the open for like the 15th time about how she's with Starfleet intelligence.
Yeah.
With an earshot of like that's dozens of people. Nothing says Starfleet intelligence or just intelligence or lack of intelligence by saying, I'm with Starfleet intelligence as you yell at and argue with your husband in a public place. So, I mean, that's even worse than Picard and Riker talking in the bar the other week. Because at least it was loud there and probably no one was paying attention except for the one guy sitting at the bar paying attention who still hasn't come around yet.
I know, waiting on that.
Like what information does he have and that he's waiting on? It's been days.
It's been a while.
It hasn't paid off.
Yeah.
Now he has to hope Picard survives so that he can use this information. And maybe he's the one who gave information to Shrike Lady.
Oh, Vadic? Maybe.
Maybe she's got just dudes in bars all over. I mean, that's a pretty good network.
It's a good system.
Yeah, she'd know about Raffi then now.
Mm-hmm. Ruh-roh.
Also, can we just stop referencing the fact that Picard was synthetic? Like, can we just leave that in the past and never speak of it again?
They keep saying that, yeah.
I mean, Vadic mentioned it, and I was hoping that was one of those things that Terry Matalas would be like, like in Star Wars, there's certain things that like the fandom has just decided that never happened, and we don't talk about it.
Right.
All the prequels. But yeah,
exactly.
They don't reference something.
We don't remember that.
So yeah, you don't have to bring it up.
We don't think about it.
Yeah, it's like Fight Club.
Right.
Why is the tractor beam effect the same effect that Beverly made love to after she lit the candle?
Why is it the exact same green
gas?
Like glow?
I cannot. Like, I was afraid they were going to wake Beverly up and something else was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a little Easter egg for us. Maybe that was for the super fans. You know what I mean? It's like, look at that.
Yeah, I was getting some major Sub Rosa vibes from that tractor beam.
If only.
And this is kind of a con I think a lot of people have mentioned, and it definitely came up last week, and it carried over to this week as well. Like, did they forget to install 90% of the lighting on the Titan? Because it is there's a ton of lights, like different colors, but it's very dim. I'm afraid Picard's gonna fall.
The bridge of a starship is like the operating room in any medical drama. It is darker than it needs to be. It's way cleaner than it ever is. And people know way more what they're doing than in real life.
I feel much safer now. Thank you.
You should. Yeah, it's just, of course, it's sexy lighting. It's dim lighting. Everyone's in their 80s, 70s, 90s, they need dim lighting. It's for them.
No, I disagree. They need to know where they're going. Need to be able to see Joselyn.
You have a point.
All right, Jocelyn. Well, before we get to the fan comments,
yes,
I have a question for you. What character do you think we're going to see next? And I do not watch the next time on preview. I don't even know where to find it, and I don't watch the Ready Room.
You watch the Ready Room?
It's on the Ready Room.
I watched the Ready Room. But the next, I didn't watch the preview for the next week because I don't like to do that because they reveal too much, and I like to be surprised.
I don't think the Ready Room does. From when I've watched it, like in Discovery, it's like one little short scene.
They do a clip, but I still
like the upcoming trailer of what's coming on this season is way too much in every show ever.
Yeah,
and movie.
It's too much. I mean, it's meant to keep you around, but. No, I did watch the Ready Room. It was actually really good. He talked to Jack Crusher, that
I did
actor.
see that.
That was really good.
I saw the screenshot and I almost watched it, but no.
It's a good interview. Also,
does Will Wheaton do it?
Yes, he does.
Not interested.
He talks about them being brothers. It's everything that you think is.
Oh my gosh!
Happen. You know it already.
Brothers.
You know it already. They are. Of course, they are. The brothers from the same mothers.
But are they really?
Yes.
And
I suspect the same father. But that's just my opinion.
Oh my.
I'm just saying. Anyway.
So you're saying Picard knocked up Beverly and then had her husband killed?
Yes. Exactly.
Wow.
Very
That's
biblical
a
of
conspiracy
him.
Right there.
Well, I'm just saying
King
it's
David.
the Christian way. Jesus.
Jocelyn, I am
Jesus
so excited.
Wanted it that way, or he wouldn't have written it down in the Bible. Yes. Well,
did you know we're brothers?
Yeah. Well,
I'm a traveler. Mm-hmm. Would you like to travel with me?
No.
Why not?
Not at all. No.
I'm a little hurt.
Actually, if
but
Will
so excited.
Wheaton was like, "You want to go on vacation?" I'd be like, "Hell yeah, man!" Because guess what? He will be excited by everything. Anything that happens, any meal we have, anything we do. This is the best meal I've ever had. Like
the best chicken nuggets I've ever
exactly.
had.
Why do you not want to hang out with that?
Because it's a little much.
I like it. Bring it on through. Anyway, they talk about the set design, and that's the part of the Ready Room I really like when they talk to the people who do the costumes or the sets.
Yeah.
So like all that like artistry stuff is so cool.
Behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, and it's really cool on this week's episode. But before we get to the fan comments, do you want to go into the basement?
Do you want to answer my question first?
Did you ask me a question?
Justin, what character do you think we'll see next on Star Trek Picard?
Right. Sorry, I was halfway down these stairs, and now I'm going to have to run back up and answer your question. I want it to be Deanna Troi. I want to see Marina Sirtis, and I feel like it's going to be Geordi. It's going to be LeVar Burton, who I also want to see. But I just really want to see Deanna, and I want her to absolutely tear Riker a new part of his body where things come out. That's what I want. Because I guarantee he's in the wrong. He did something.
I don't think I got to my Shaw theory, and I don't remember where I even wrote down the notes. Oh,
are you wait?
Scene.
Are you saying that in terms of your Shaw theory, you don't remember the last time you Shaw it?
I don't know. Last time
that
I
was
Shaw
a long
that.
journey to get there, but there we are.
It worked better than
Wait,
mine.
what's your Shaw theory?
So I forgot my last my last pro rather.
Oh.
The last pro is the post-credits scenes.
Yes.
Which I mentioned a little bit last week, but I watched a little more carefully this week, and there are like a lot of things kind of hidden in there. I don't think there's anything spoilery, at least not on the surface. But there is I pulled up the Memory Alpha page because I felt smart, and I was like, oh, I'm going to pause these scenes and see what it says.
Yeah.
And this isn't really spoilery because I don't know what this is. But where I'm going with this is on the screen it flashes a Constellation-class ship, NCC 10367.
Okay.
It was called the USS Constance. And part of it was redacted. So I just pulled up the Memory Alpha page, and this is not a ship that's really, I guess, been mentioned before, except here. And so the timeline of it seems to indicate that this may be a ship that was lost at the Battle of Wolf 359. And when I was thinking of Wolf 359, I remembered kind of the first time we see Captain Picard with Captain Sisko. And Captain Sisko is not exactly cordial towards Captain Picard, being that he lost his wife in the Battle of Wolf 359. So I'm thinking perhaps Shaw's, I don't know, prejudice against former Borg, that perhaps something happened to his family. And that's why he's so crotchety and grouchy all the time. That would have been about 23, 25 years ago, roughly. So he would have been very young.
Vadic alludes to having read his file.
Okay, yeah.
And saying that she's surprised or she's impressed that he's functional, or I don't remember what she said.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but that's something I noticed. There's a few other little snippets in there if you watch that we can maybe talk about later. They're not really spoilery. It's just more speculation on things, potentially, because it does give little hints of certain things, but I don't know if they mean anything or not. So that was my Shaw theory. I think I had another theory.
You had another theory. It wasn't as serious.
Oh, yes. It was the tractor beam.
The tractor beam.
Oh,
being a Sub Rosa.
It was Ronan.
Yes.
She's using a ghost weapon.
Well, I mean, love is the most powerful weapon, Jordan. So
that's all you need.
Anyway.
Speaking of needs, we need to go to the basement.
Let's go to the basement real quick. I found one this week.
Found a basement?
I found a basement, and I found someone down there clicky-clacking away, talking smack about this week's episode, and I would just like to get into character. Okay. 4 out of 10 is what this person gave it on IMDb. And the
kudos for not just giving it a 1.
Excellent, yes. Well,
let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah. Yawn. Just boring. Disappointing after the first episode. I mean, the story has hardly moved forward. Well, not enough for me for 45 minutes. Beverly Crusher woke up by the end, said nothing. Worf arrived for 30 seconds. Picard and Riker shuffling about, achieving nothing. 7, just not being 7. Like, anybody could be saying her lines. She is not adding anything. Such bad use. The new captain, like, really? He's made it to that level acting like that? In Starfleet? Please. We know nothing else about anything else, well, except minor details that mean nothing. Let's move this on. Bring in the rest of the cast and get on with it.
Wow, did he say it in a recording?
Yeah, that was him.
Wow, okay.
Okay.
Fan of the show.
So, fan of the show, loves the show, not loving this show so much. The only thing I can think of is this person at like a 7-course meal. After it, like, just being like, they brought out the first course, it was nothing. It was tiny, just a little bite of food. Like, that's not enough food.
Like the anti.
Second course, barely any more food. Like,
it sounds like
let's get all the food out here at once and just be done with this meal.
It kind of sounds like a really depressed Jerry Seinfeld.
Yes. What's the deal with Picard season 2, episode 2? We got Picard.
He's on his hair.
Beverly's there. Hair. She's not talking.
All right,
nothing happens. Nothing happens. Is he crazy? Anyway. Can we go to the real fans, please?
I think we should.
I think we should too. Who's leading off?
I'll lead off. My voice
Excellent.
is, I don't know if anyone could tell, but it is on the fritz. I had no voice yesterday, so it's a miracle I'm talking. We'll see how much, well, some people may not agree, but we'll see how long this lasts. Christophus says, another solid outing, even a slight improvement on the first episode. The bounty hunter character is awesome. Like if my Nan decided she was going to start trying to take over the universe. Sweet, crazy, and maniacal.
Yes.
I never saw the twist of the handler coming. I was assuming that we were about to get our first glimpse of undercover Elnor or something.
Oh.
What a pleasant surprise. Should have realized when Rafi was told last week that you are a warrior, Michael is still a straight badass. I'm not entirely thrilled that Jack has been revealed as Picard's son with his genetically inherited English accent. I'm also not thrilled about using a tractor beam to toss a ship like an Olympic discus thrower, but I am thrilled with how the story is building. And wait, something happened this week?
Yeah.
I've heard otherwise.
Weird.
And the feels I get seeing the next gen cast again. Intermingling with the new characters, 7 in the Titan crew. I kind of like Shaw, to be honest. 8 decapitated Ferengi out of 10.
Too soon. Keith Danforth says, the first episode of a series always tries to hook the viewer into what could be somewhat of a condensed preview of what to expect from the rest of the season. The second episode can either just go full warp in and discovery all over the place, or meticulously set the pieces on the board and move according to plan. Like most other people, I was not thrilled at Jack Crusher. Bev has a lot of splaining to do, and there better be a damn good reason Picard's son didn't get to grow up like Boimler on the grape farm. Worf's reveal as Raffi's handler was also not unexpected, though how he rolled in and cleared the room was amazing. Looking forward to seeing if he can finally be the character to redeem Raffi. I also enjoy Vadic. If her moniker wasn't Birdman in the bird ship, I'd be convinced she was a crazy cat lady in space blowing shit up. Finally, I kind of dislike the destruction of the Eloise 12. Elios? I'm sorry. Elios 12. It looked so much more Starfleet than the La Serena did, and I almost wish that Picard Season 1 began with Jack as one of his pseudonyms, escorting Picard and getting sucked into his bullshit up to now, only to find out their family connections. I feel by the end of this show, I will be convinced that some people wanted this to be the one and best limited series of Picard and the TNG crew, and some other writers were like, yeah, okay, but what if we effed this sideways with some shit no one cares about? 7 insubordinations out of 10 shrikes.
Yeah, she's not a cat lady. She's a bird lady. She's like a bird watcher.
I know, it's amazing.
It's weird. She probably has cats too.
Probably.
Just for the chaos of it all. Will Flores says, this one was pretty good. I'm knocking off points for the dancing around that he was Jean-Luc's son the whole time, but everything else was great. I also enjoyed the bounty hunter captain, and Shaw finally did something useful. LaForge continues to be a welcome addition, and 7's arc through 2 episodes is already satisfying. But now for the best part. Holy balls, Worf just went in there and started decapitating jabronis, and I'm here for it. Sorry, I just got a little emotional seeing a Klingon sword swinging, and bad guys stop living. I did not approve that they made Raffi take a dose, but I understand. I just hope they don't make her go down that road again. It's a long road.
Yes.
Getting from there for the whole season. 8 slagged shuttles.
Lainey Boylette says, that was brilliant! I don't even care about the accent thing anymore. Those looks between Bev and Picard made my heart ache. Same, Lainey. Now, I could knock off a point for Raffi's eyeliner because I wanted to wipe it off the screen, but we got a badass word, y'all, so I don't care about that now either. I think it's a badass Worf, and I think Spellcheck did her dirty in this. So we got a badass Worf, y'all. My score reflects how happy I felt watching this. It's fan service. Don't think about it too much. Just enjoy it. 10, who's your fathers?
Yeah, we definitely are just enjoying it. We have not spent almost an hour talking about it. Definitely not overanalyzing this
We're not at all.
week's episode. Yeah, I heard Rafi's using a new eyeliner now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Snakeweed or whatever she squirted her out.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, okay. Paul Pinelli says, I'm a simple creature. Give me Worf and a Ferengi, and I'm back in Star Trek, in my Star Trek safe space.
I agree. Jeremy Reed says, another really good episode. If Captain Shaw makes it to the end of the season, I have a feeling he'll end up a fan favorite based on the growth he's already had in just 2 eps. Now, I'm going to say something I've never said in my 9 years here at Star Trek Wars. I love Beverly's son! Ed Spielers is the real deal. Charismatic, handsome, basically the exact opposite of everything we've come to expect from a male crusher. God. This guy is a leading man and someone I hope Paramount keeps around for the next generation of Star Trek. Get a room. After me, though, because I agree with Jeremy on this. Great job, Ed. I owe you an apology. I wasn't really familiar with your game. The thing I love most about the Jack Crusher storyline here is that the episode is less interested in his somewhat obvious parentage and wisely focused more on Picard's emotional acceptance of what the rest of us, Riker included, already know. That's a deeper level of storytelling than we've been accustomed to in the previous 2 seasons, and yet another example that we are in good hands. The scene between Beverly and Jean-Luc, the wordless, spoke volumes, thanks in large part to Gates and Sir Patrick. That scene got me, man. They got me. Beautifully done. So far this season, the writing is there, the acting is superb, and the details are present. The fact that they took a moment to acknowledge that the transporter inhibitors were still in place and had to be dealt with is such a small detail, yet a large reassurance that Metalis and crew know what they're doing. This all just feels right and special. That feeling that I had after watching First Contact in the theater for the first time, then never truly feeling it again. It's coming back, friends. And if you think I don't get misty-eyed every time the end credits play with that theme, you must be eye-snorting Sneed's Coke spray. 8 honey bunnies. P.S. If Jordan sent me to my death, then had a love child with Chelsea, not sure naming the kid after me would make up for it.
I think we can all agree on that one, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chelsea, Chelsea says Gates can still get it.
That's
9 out of 10.
And I imagine that instead of these blank squares, that it was hand clapping emojis. That's just what I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's like stars on my screen, but I copy-paste from Facebook, so I can't remember. I think it was like explosions, maybe.
You have to say it like Gates can still get it.
Get it.
Get it. There you go.
Get it.
Good.
She said that last week, and it's true this week as well, and I forgot to read it. So my apologies. I'll read it again next week.
We're going to read it every week so that people don't forget that Gates can still get it. James Heath says, it was really good. I still don't care about Raffi and was hoping her scenes would hurry up to get back to Picard, etc. But then Worf shows up, so I hope playing off him makes her interesting. Ooh, a read from James Heath.
William Jenks says, this episode was more satisfying for me than the first. Perhaps as because the setup was already laid out, but I also thought the endpoint was better. Sure, there are a few plot holes here and there, but there's enough character and action moments to overlook them. There's lots of good acting in this episode. Beverly does some great face acting with no actual lines. I think Shaw, no lines because of the Botox. I think Shaw is well written.
The fillers are doing their job.
And acted, and Vadic is delightfully over the top. I also thought they did a pretty good job developing Jack Crusher. Did anyone else get a little Expanse vibe when they when Vadic threw their ship at them? Have you seen the Expanse?
Does that happen in the Expanse? I think I'm on season 4, and I just haven't. I have not watched season 4 yet.
Okay, there's 5 seasons, correct?
Oh shoot, maybe it's season.
I
5.
think I listened to man, I'm behind, but I've actually seen them all, but I can't remember. It's been a while. I read some of the books, and the books followed pretty closely with the show, so I actually kind of stopped reading the books at one point, but I think I read the first 3, and they were enjoyable for sure. And there's even more than there are seasons of the show. So if you finish it and you still want more, then I'd recommend the books for sure. Did anyone else see? I didn't mean it. My one significant nitpick is that I think they didn't hide the story exposition all that well. I also wish the word tech was banned except as short for technician. I do agree, and it's like lowbrow sci-fi to use the word tech all the time. See Tech Wars. I don't know if you've read Tech Wars, Jocelyn, but it's written by William Shatner.
Oh,
it will be
then.
Interesting to see how natural the assembly of the rest of the crew feels. Here's hoping that they can hold up the quality and consistency for the whole series better than they did last time. I think we're all hoping for that, for sure.
Yes.
So, well, thank you all for the feedback. It's great to have, like, the fans excited and overall positive on the show.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we had any real negative votes.
Not out of the basement, we didn't.
No. I think the lowest score was a 6. Even the basement's up from a 1 to a 4.
I know, right?
Making progress.
A 4 is slamming it now.
And, you know, everyone should have their, and 20 years later, we'll find out. Everyone should have their own opinion, but it is nice when, like, the opinions somewhat align. I think I'm a little lower on this episode than most, but I still really enjoyed it and, you know, had a fun time watching it. I watched it twice and have enjoyed talking about it. So, Jocelyn, with that being said, what do you score this week's episode?
I regret that I scored the last one a 9 because, indeed, this one I also gave a 9. A 9 in the case of Little Jack Crusher. Picard, you are the father. That came out angrier than Maury usually does it, but...
he's falling on hard times.
Yeah.
Well, Jocelyn, I give this a 7.5. 7.5 liters of Sluggo Cola. 40% real live algae.
It's the live algae that gives it that tang.
Keeps your teeth looking that lovely shade of green.
Yes.
The council give it a combined score of a 7.94. Giving the overall score comes out to an 8.11.
Not too shabby.
Jocelyn, what happens next time on Star Trek Picard?
Well, Jordan, in light of the tragedy this past week, I have written instead a haiku to honor those that passed too soon. This haiku is called Justice for Sneed. Sneed, Ferengi born, coat of fur, a tattooed head. Whoops, it's on the floor.
Gosh. Well, Jocelyn, we have another death, unfortunately, in my next time on. I know, you're not going to like this one. Unfortunately, Vadic, she gets a little dramatic. She dies of lung cancer before finding the Titan in the nebula.
Oh, how predictable.
I know.
Oh, no. It's almost like the two are related in a causal relationship.
Yeah.
Aw.
Well, Jocelyn.
Okay, what?
I don't think I can.
You can do it. Do it. Do it.
Well, last week you remember I said I'm not fat. I'm Galaxy class. So I'm not fat. I'm just Savick class. So what are you looking forward to?
I regret
in
every
the
encouragement
upcoming
I gave
episode?
you.
You were so encouraging.
Wow. I take it back.
Thank you for that support. What are you looking forward to in the upcoming episode? I guess we could somewhat, now that we're towards the end of the episode, maybe postulate as to what we think could be coming, since neither of us have an idea of really what's going to happen. So this is just speculation. If it turns out to be a spoiler and you don't like spoilers, then I bid you adieu. Because I don't like spoilers at all. So
I don't like
anytime
them. No, they
a podcast says, all right,
me.
we're going to spoiler territory, especially if it's like a show based on a book and they're going to talk about it. Like, I have no desire to know where it's going. I want to be surprised. I'm one of those people.
Right.
So I just kind of want to speculate a little bit and just talk about the show because it's kind of fun to do that. Given that we have new Trek for the first time in this timeline and like post Nemesis for the first time since Nemesis. So it's fun to talk about these characters that we know a little bit about, what we think the trajectories are, and where we think this season might take us. So anything you want to say as far as the characters or what you think might happen next week?
I just think I'm excited to see more of the characters who are already here, especially Jack Crusher. And I can't wait to see Geordi. I can't wait to see, mostly, though, I want to see Deanna Troi, and I want them to bring her in as soon as possible so I can get as much of her as possible. And I'm also excited to see how many Star Trek Picard fans we can convert to Downton Abbey fans through the gateway drug that is Ed Spielers. I'm really excited for that. And then you and I can start covering Downton Abbey. Wouldn't that be fun?
Seeing as how I thought the show was called Downtown Abbey, I don't know how good.
It's okay. You know what? I would be the expert in this arena.
That's true.
It would be great.
How the turns table.
How the turns do table, indeed.
Yeah, last
See,
we
you have
heard,
to do a British accent now.
Cheerio. Geordi is working at the Fleet Museum last we heard when Picard and Lars are talking about the Enterprise D painting. That Picard's going to give away the painting of his Big D. And Lars is not having it. So obviously we know that
he's going to show up in some
one
clunker.
of his daughters is working on the Titan, Crash LaForge, who did some pretty nice flying this week. So I think Geordi will be the next one that we see. Unfortunately, I'm pretty confident that Marina Sirtis, Deanna will probably be the last one, given how far they are away. And she's probably on Nepenthe at their house.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the end of the season. Like Riker comes home and she's happy to see him and they fix whatever the heck is going on.
No.
Type of situation. I don't know, but that's just my speculation at this point. So, obviously, next week, I think we'll see or hear some conversation, actual talking between Dr. Crusher and Picard. So that will be interesting. Because they have not shared the screen in a long time.
Yeah.
So, and her hair is great and Picard's has not. So,
true. Who
Yeah,
has the synthetic body now, Picard?
I know technically he's not the father because that's not even his body. So, I mean,
There's a case to be made there.
what is a body?
Exactly.
Like if he actually did a paternity test, I don't think it would show that he's the father. So it's really his word
but he's
against.
got the same. Okay, this is taking us down a road I don't want to go
I was about
down
to say, sorry,
with someone who was adopted into the same family as me. So.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. We just know how unreliable Beverly is when it comes to scanning people and even getting the right race. Like she's let a half Romulan slip through the cracks once. Like, come on. Not the best track record. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I think we're going to get more of a like Star Trek 2 vibe, like Wrath of Khan chasing the nebula type thing.
Yes.
Maybe, I mean, that's kind of like the Briar Patch in Nemesis to an extent too. It has that look to it.
They just keep apologizing for that movie throughout this entire show. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, once they have Riker shave that beard again, that's going to be a step too far. I guess that's the insurrection. Yeah. Anyways, I can't remember. I don't want to talk. It is Nemesis. I don't want to talk about the Star Trek movies unless we want to talk about First Contact. And I agree with Jeremy. Like when the post credits start playing and you have like they hit you with the First Contact.
Yeah.
And then like the TNG theme is like, oh my gosh,
it's all there.
So, but yeah, watch the post credits. There's definitely like little nuances. I do think. Well, no, you haven't watched the trailer, so I'm not going to go into that because that would be spoiler for you. There's a certain character I think Picard is going to go talk to about Vadic to get advice from. So, but I think it'll happen anyways. That's pretty much all we have this week, Jocelyn. Anything else any parting words?
Oh God, I didn't know I was supposed to make a speech. I only wrote one haiku, so no, I guess not. No, I'm just excited for the next episode. I am. I'm into it. I look forward to Thursdays.
I do too, and it sneaks up on me every week.
Yeah.
I feel like the workday on Thursday goes by the fastest, and then I'm like, oh, Picard's on tonight. And I get home and I forget. I put my kids to bed. I'm like, oh, Picard's on tonight. I forget and remember 9 times during that day, and I get excited each time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, Jocelyn, thanks for being here, and thank you all for listening. Jocelyn and I will return next week to review the 3rd episode. If you don't want to hear the title, plug your ears, because this could be a huge spoiler. It's entitled 17 Seconds. And I hope that's not a reference to Picard and Dr. Crusher, computer and program.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.